Well, we are expected to hear from not only the sheriff, but also the school superintendent, as well as a few school board members here at 10 o'clock at the Emergency Operations Center, just to give an update on just what they've learned overnight and how this school community, how this entire community is moving forward in light of this tragedy. There are a lot of questions that still need to be answered, but yesterday the sheriff did tell us a little bit about what led up to this tragedy. He told us that yesterday around 4 o'clock he got a call from the man involved in this 51-year-old Don Spirit. And in that 911 call, he told deputies and dispatchers that he was going to harm not only himself, but harm others at his home. So at that point, investigators went to the house, and by the time they got there, unfortunately, all 7 of the victims were already dead. They were able to speak with Spirit for a short time before he committed suicide, but at this point, the sheriff said he didn't want to reveal the details of that conversation. And so right now we are expected to just learn more information about what led up to this, but we do know a little bit. The sheriff told us about Spirit's background. They told us in 2001 he actually shot and killed his 8-year-old son accidentally during a hunting incident. We're told that he did serve 3 years in prison for that because he possessed a gun as a convicted felon. We're also learning he had a lengthy rap sheet in Hillsborough County, several incidents in the early 90s there. And there have also been other times when deputies say they have been called out to the home here in Bell for other incidents. So we're kind of piecing together things, but still a lot of questions remaining, and we hope to get those answers from the sheriff. But in the meantime, he says that this community will stay resilient.
We'll work through this. As evidence to the people standing with me, the agencies and the organizations who've lended their hand to us, we'll get through this. But I would continue to ask everybody to pray for the families and in the community, the poor children tomorrow morning when they go to school, how devastating that's going to be for them. And we don't need to lose focus. This isn't about the gentleman that did this. This is certainly about the poor children and memory of them and their families.
And again, we're expected to get an update at 10 this morning from the sheriff. Reporting live in Bell, Kumasi, you're on Channel 4, the local station. Well, good morning. Yes, sheriff's deputies told us that this wasn't the first time that they've been out to his residence here in Bell. And this morning, we're also learning about a very lengthy criminal history, not only here in this area, but in Hillsborough County as well. Now, we've learned that 51-year-old Don Spirit, he actually was arrested in 2001 after he accidentally shot his 8-year-old son Kyle to death in a hunting accident, according to reports. Now, he pleaded guilty to a charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and in that case, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. In addition, he's had several arrests in Hillsborough County dating back to the early 90s. And again, sheriff's deputies say this isn't the first time they've been called out to his home here in Bell. But the incident yesterday started around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Deputies got a call to 911 from Spirit saying that he would harm himself and others in the home. By the time deputies were able to get out there, though, all of the 7 victims were already dead. They were able to have a conversation with Spirit, though, before he committed suicide. But yesterday, the sheriff wouldn't share the details of what was said. But we want to just share with you more about the victims in this. His daughter, Don Spirit's daughter, 28-year-old Sarah Lorraine Spirit. And here are pictures of 4 of the 6 children who were killed. They are 11-year-old Caleb Coleman, 9-year-old Kylie Coleman, 8-year-old Jonathan Coleman, 5-year-old Destiny Stewart, 4-year-old Brandon Stewart, and 3-month-old Elena Stewart, all of them dying from apparent gunshot wounds. And it's something the sheriff said he would have never imagined in this small town.
Gilchrist County hadn't experienced anything like this to my knowledge. And I am very thankful to have some good law enforcement and emergency personnel that I know I can call on, and they come.
And those law enforcement officers have been investigating this since it happened. Still some questions that need to be answered. The sheriff really wouldn't go into detail yesterday about if a weapon was recovered, what type of weapon may have been used in this incident. He didn't really have a motive for what happened here yesterday. So all of those questions hopefully can be answered when the sheriff does address the media at 10 o'clock this morning. Reporting live in Bell, Kumasi, you're on Channel 4, the local station. Well, good morning. In half an hour, we're not only going to hear from the sheriff, but also from the school superintendent here, as well as a few board members, because this is really impacting this small community, especially students at the elementary school where 4 of the children who were killed yesterday attended. So this is really going to be a chance for us to hear how that community is dealing with this and helping students out, and also to get an update from the sheriff, because there's still a lot of questions in regards to what happened here in Bell yesterday afternoon. Now, just as a breakdown of what all happened, the sheriff told us they got a 911 call from 51-year-old Don Spirit around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, saying that he would harm not only himself but other people at his home. So they went out to his home here in Bell, and when they got there, they found 7 people dead. They were able to speak with Spirit for a short while before he committed suicide. Yesterday, the sheriff really didn't give us many details about what that conversation entailed. But we want to show you what 51-year-old Don Spirit looks like, and we've learned a little bit more about his background. In 2001, we found out that he accidentally shot his 8-year-old son Kyle to death in a hunting accident. He pleaded guilty to a charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. We found out he also has several arrests in Hillsborough County in the early 90s, including several drug-related convictions. And the sheriff said yesterday this wasn't the first time the deputies had been called out to his house here in Bell. Now, let's look at the pictures of 4 of the 6 children who were killed. 5-year-old Destiny Stewart, 8-year-old Jonathan Coleman, 9-year-old Kylie Coleman, and 11-year-old Kaylee Coleman. The other 2, 4-year-old Brandon Stewart and 3-month-old Elena Stewart, also killed here. Their mother, 28-year-old Sarah Lorraine Spirit. The sheriff says all of them died from apparent gunshot wounds, and he admitted that today will be difficult, but says this community is strong.
But you know, if I didn't have any doubt about anything else, that this community will come together, that we will continue to be a family and we'll work through this. As evidence to the people standing with me, the agencies and the organizations who've lended their hand to us, we'll get through this. But I would continue to ask everybody to pray for the families and in the community, the poor children tomorrow morning when they go to school, how devastating that's going to be for them. And we don't need to lose focus. This isn't about the gentleman that did this. This is certainly about the poor children and memory of them and their families.
So yesterday, the sheriff didn't answer any questions about the firearm, whether they retrieved a firearm from that residence, what kind of gun it may have been. So we're expecting to possibly get some clues about that later on today at this press conference. It starts at 10 o'clock. Of course, we'll be streaming it live on Channel 4 and as well as news4jax.com. Reporting live, Kumasi, Aaron, Channel 4, the local station.
On Channel 4's Kumasi, Aaron is live at the Gilchrist County Emergency Operations Center following the investigation into this. Kumasi, any more details about Governor Scott's visit?
Well, we're told that he will be here at 1 o'clock, just coming to show his support for this community, spending time with the school superintendent and officials, as well as the sheriff, to see just how they are doing things here. But he didn't really the sheriff didn't give any more details besides that. He said that he would not likely be available for any interviews from the press or anything like that. Also in this update, we kind of got a sense of just what's next in this investigation. A lot of questions couldn't be answered just yet, but the sheriff did tell us a little bit about the gun that was involved. He told us that Spirit did not have it legally. And then we also found out a little bit about why deputies were called out to his home earlier. The sheriff also told us that no one was left alive in this home after the incident that happened there last night. He wouldn't confirm that all 7 of the victims were killed by gunshots, but he did tell us that he believed the Spirit did act alone in this. He said that none of the calls that were previous were related to domestic violence. They wouldn't go into details about what those calls were, but they were not related to domestic violence. He doesn't expect to have another update today, but when there is more information, they will post it on their website, on Facebook.